Good afternoon, Warriors. This is Mr. Davis. I wanted to check in with everyone, make sure we're all on the same page. Right now is week 4. Next week, April 13th through 17th, we'll be on spring break. So I won't be giving you an assignment for next week. Uh, but let's begin. I'm going to try to make a much shorter video than last time. I actually encourage you to go back and watch that 20-minute video from last week. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. But we need to know how to do these assignments. So watch this entire video. I'm going to try to go fast. I'm going to try to keep it short, but watch this whole video so you can know what to do. So the first thing, you should get a message periodically from me on Remind. It'll say, good morning, something like this. Good morning. The week 4 assignment is posted. Go here to see all the assignments. So let's go to that link where we can find all the assignments. Your message won't look like that. Yours will be clickable. But you'll click it and it'll take you to this page. It'll be something like this. And you can see that all of our assignments are listed here. Now our week 4 assignment is going to be the first one that we're turning in for credit. Week 1, week 2, and week 3's assignments. Those were practice assignments. We made some changes to the instructions, to the directions, but hopefully this makes sense to everyone. But watch really close so you know exactly what to do. So I just clicked on the week 4 assignment and it brought me to the directions. Here's a link to those video directions, the old ones. It's a 20-minute long thing, but it might help you to see the big picture of what we're doing. So remember, the class is usually about 50 minutes, so a 20-minute video is, I don't know, not too long. Sometimes it takes a while to get the point across. But anyway, the first thing we see here, it says to submit this assignment, send a picture of each page that you have completed to this address, wdavis-watkins at pittsburgh.k12.ca.us. So do that. When you finish this assignment, don't send me the pictures on Remind. Go ahead and send them to my email. That way I can give you credit and give you some feedback on your work. But anyway, what do we have to do for the assignment? I think this is where it gets tricky for some people. Read these instructions real close. Here it is. The first thing we have to actually do is read chapter 11, pages 411 to 429 in your blue Focus on the Physical Science textbook. So go to that blue textbook and I want you to read chapter 11, pages 411 to 429. As you read those pages in your notebook, take notes. Make one jot dot per blue heading and one jot dot per red heading. Then define each of the vocabulary words. They're in bold in the text. So in your notebook, you need to take notes and you need to make a jot dot for each blue heading and one jot dot for each red heading and the vocabulary words. So as you encounter these things in the text, your notes should look like a list. A jot dot, a jot dot, a jot dot, a vocab with definition, another jot dot, another vocab word with definition. Then you should, when you get to pages 422 and 429, and in fact, every time you end a section, you'll see what's called a section assessment, and you should do all the questions. You don't have to write the questions. You have to use complete sentences though. But let's take a look at what this looks like in real life. So if you have your textbook, take out your textbook and do these things. If you don't have your textbook, go right below these instructions. You'll see textbook, California Focus on Physical Science. Click on that. This is your textbook. It's that blue one that we have in the class. It has each chapter. So remember, we were on chapter 11. So let's go to chapter 11. And it asks us to do the first 2 sections of chapter 11. So here we go. We open up the book. And if you have the real book, this is probably going to be much easier. But open up that book. Go to chapter 11. And you see your first red heading. It says, what is pressure? So what do we do when we get to a red heading? We take a jot dot. So read the section below and make a jot dot. A jot dot is one piece of information that you want to save as notes that helps you to remember what you read in each section. So the next thing you encounter that you have to do something with is this blue heading, pressure and area. So you see it says pressure and area right here. Read that section on pressure and area and make a jot dot. The next one you see calculating pressure. That's another blue heading. That's going to cause us to make a jot dot. Let's read this section and let's make a jot dot relevant to this blue heading, calculating pressure. Then we see in that text, it says pressure in bold letters. and it's got a yellow highlight on it, that's a vocabulary word. We need to define that vocabulary word. So write that vocabulary word right underneath your calculating pressure jot dot and define it. The next one we see is Pascal. So write Pascal down, find the definition in the glossary and write the definition. That should be right underneath the pressure definition. The next thing we encounter is fluid pressure. So read the section on fluid pressure, make a jot dot. That's a red heading. We're going to make a jot dot. We have fluid right here. That's the vocabulary word. We're going to find the definition for that, and we're going to put that right underneath our fluid pressure jot dot. So you get the idea. For every red heading, every blue heading, and every vocabulary word, we're going to make a note. For the red and blue ones, we're going to make a jot dot. For the vocabulary words, we're going to go to the glossary, find the definition, and write that definition in line with the rest of our notes. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and send me a question on Remind. I'll get to them really fast. Also, answering the questions. When we get to the end of each section, we'll have a section assessment. You don't have to write the questions for the section assessment, but you do have to use complete sentences. So let's go down. We're going to take notes on all of this, looking at all those jot dots we have to do, all the vocabulary words we have to define. Now we're at the section assessment. Vocabulary skill. So it tells you what you need to do. It says using the scientific meanings for fluid and pressure to help you define the term fluid pressure. So use the scientific meanings for these two words, put them together in your mind, and see if you can determine what fluid pressure means. So you don't have to write the question, but you do have to use complete sentences. So in your notebook, right underneath your last vocabulary word, which was barometer, you should start your section assessment by doing the vocabulary skill prompt. The next thing you have to do is review. What two factors does pressure depend on? That's a pretty easy one. Go back in the text where it tells you what pressure means, and then tell us what two factors pressure depends on. And you could do that for each thing in the section assessment. Then go back to taking notes. Now, the labs. You don't have to do the labs unless you want to and your parents say that you can. So talk to them and make sure that that's a lab that you guys want to do at home. Some of them get pretty messy. Let them know what's involved in it. And that brings me to another important point. That's communication. Communicate with your parents. Tell them, hey, I finished my work for science. I finished my work for English today. I finished this for the week. I have this much more to do. Go ahead and tell them so that they know what's going on with you, and everybody is knowledgeable about what's going to happen. If you need something, you got to let somebody know like ASAP. So if you need pencils or you need any kind of supplies, or you can't see something, it's not formatted right on your phone or something, tell somebody, let me know so I can pass on that information, and we can try to get all the things like that fixed. But if you don't say something, then people won't really know. So that's one half of the assignment, the things you have to do in that blue textbook. There's also an interactive textbook for this class. That's an online only. It's more like a workbook, but it's called the interactive textbook. And you need to go to that. And for this week's assignment, so again, we're back on this page, week 4 assignment. It says do the interactive textbook, pages 27 to 34. You don't need to print it out. You don't have to write the questions. You have to use complete sentences. For this interactive textbook, you'll be asked to do a lot of little prompts. None of them take very long, but let's see, we're doing page 27 to 34, but they do ask you to get involved sometimes. So you got to read them carefully, look and see what you have to do. Here's page 27. This is where we're starting. And it says before you read, and hopefully that looks familiar to you, that kind of question. It asks you to imagine you're holding a baseball and a tennis ball and to describe why you think one is heavier than the other. Why would one of those things be heavier than the other? What is it about mass and volume or whatever else you know about that's going to make one thing that's roughly the same size be heavier than something else? Does it have something to do with density? I don't know. Go ahead and write in your notebook. So right below that second section assessment that you just finished, go ahead and answer that prompt. Now, this one doesn't have to be right. It's just what you think. So go ahead and tell us what you think. This sidebar tells you some information. It's not really a question, but right below that, where it says study coach and there's a pencil, it's a prompt. It says make flashcards. Do you have to make the flashcards? Yes. So after you read the lesson, write questions on one side of the cards and answers on the other. Use flashcards to study what you've learned. So after you finish reading through this lesson, go ahead and make flashcards for each of the important concepts. Picture this. Here's another prompt. So in your notebook, right below this, before you read response that you have, right after that, do the picture this. Determine which has more mass, a 1 liter bottle of water or a 1 liter balloon of air. You tell us which one you think has more mass after reading this section. You don't have to write the question. You have to use complete sentences. So right after you did this, before you read, do that. Make sure to come back and do these flashcards when you get done. On the next page, page 28, and we're going all the way to page 34. Look at each of these things you have to do. Make a 3-tab foldable, excuse me. If you're not sure how to do that, go ahead and use your imagination. See if you can get a sheet of paper and cut it a couple times and see what you can do. But try to make a little foldable. If you're not sure, go ahead and ask me a question. Read each of these sections. Do this one. Picture this. Do that next section. Do all of these little prompts until you finish page 34. Then all of those things you have in your notebook, all of the flashcards you made, your foldables, all of those things, take a picture of each thing and send it to, I'll show you one last time. Send it to my email address. Submit this assignment. Send a picture of each page that you have completed to this address. wdavis-watkins at pittsburgh.k12.ca.us. Make sure you're going through these instructions and using them. I think that's all I got. Other classes, go to Teacher Classroom. Look over here, whichever is your teacher. Let's say it's Mr. Coleman. You're going to click on Mr. Coleman and you'll find his assignment right there. For some of the teachers, you might click on it and you'll have to click on assignments. And then you click on assignments and you'll see a list of assignments and you just click on whichever one you're on and that should open up the directions. But anyway, guys, I hope all of that makes sense. If you have any questions after watching the entire video, after reading all the instructions, go ahead, send me a message on Remind and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you have a really nice, relaxing spring break next week. But even over spring break, if you have a question for me, go ahead and ask. I'll be available. Thank you, guys. Talk to you real soon.